Imagine fighting with everything you have to bring someone home, finally succeeding, only to realize the person you rescued is still carrying the weight of everything that happened. That is exactly where All American Season 8 Episode 7 leaves us. Amina is finally out of ICE custody. The immediate nightmare appears to be over. But emotionally, legally, and even on the football field, the situation is getting worse. And with the highly anticipated football showcase just one day away, Beverly High has now been suspended, South Crenshaw may have no opponent, and the entire future of the event could be hanging by a thread. So how did we get here? And more importantly, if Amina is finally home, why does it feel like the real crisis is only beginning? Stay with me until the end, because that final scene with Amina tells us everything about what comes next. The episode picks up directly in the aftermath of the ICE raid at South Crenshaw. Unlike some previous episodes this season, there are no flash-forwards jumping around the timeline. Everything happens in the present, and that makes the pressure feel much more immediate. Everyone is dealing with the consequences of what happened, but Coop takes it especially hard. Her guilt becomes the fuel that pushes her into action. Coop knows that Amina is depending on the people around her, and instead of standing back and hoping someone else fixes the situation, she throws herself into the fight. With Layla, KJ, Khalil, and Breonna helping, they begin working toward one goal, getting Amina out of ICE custody. But this isn't some simple rescue mission. Every step comes with emotional consequences. Coop is overwhelmed by guilt. She is desperate to fix the situation, and that desperation starts affecting the people closest to her. Her relationship with Breonna becomes strained as the pressure continues building. And this is one of the things the episode does particularly well. The characters aren't simply arguing because the story needs conflict. They're exhausted. They're scared. They're angry. And when people are pushed far enough, even the strongest relationships can start cracking. The same thing happens with Khalil and Miranda. The ICE raid doesn't just create a legal problem. It exposes how differently everyone reacts when someone they care about is suddenly in danger. Some people want to act immediately. Others want to think. Some want to stay calm. Others are already emotionally breaking apart. And Coop is right in the center of all of it. But eventually, their efforts pay off. Amina comes home. And for a moment, it feels like everyone can finally breathe. Except there is one enormous problem. Preach is still detained. And getting Preach out is going to be much harder. Amina's situation may have been resolved, but Preach already has previous infractions. That history makes his case considerably more complicated, and the episode makes sure we understand that freeing Amina was never going to mean the entire problem disappeared. This is where the emotional weight of the episode really hits. Because Amina doesn't come home celebrating. She doesn't act like everything is suddenly okay. Instead, she tries to convince everyone that she's fine. She tells them to focus on Preach. She wants everyone to stop worrying about her and start fighting for her father. But the audience can see what Amina refuses to admit. She isn't fine. And the final scene proves it. Amina gets into the shower, finally finds herself alone, and completely breaks down. It's one of the quietest moments in the episode, but arguably one of the most powerful. There are no big speeches. No dramatic confrontation. Just Amina finally allowing herself to feel everything she has been holding inside. The fear. The uncertainty. The trauma of being detained. The fear of losing her father. And the realization that even though she is physically back home, the situation hasn't actually ended. But then we get something incredibly important. KJ is there for her. And that moment reinforces one of the biggest themes of this episode: Amina has a community. She isn't alone. That matters because the story could easily have turned Amina into nothing more than a plot device in the ICE storyline. Instead, the episode reminds us that she is surrounded by people who genuinely care about her. And KJ's presence during that breakdown shows that Amina doesn't have to carry this by herself. But while Amina is dealing with the emotional fallout, another bombshell is quietly waiting for everyone else. The football showcase. Remember, Season 8's premiere already showed us a flash-forward involving the showcase. So technically, we know the event is supposed to happen. But Jordan and Cassius don't have that information. And at the end of this episode, they receive news that could completely derail everything. The walkout KJ organized following the ICE raid at South Crenshaw has been ruled a violation of law's policy. And the punishment is brutal. Beverly High's entire football team is suspended. Think about what that means. The Beverly Eagles can't play. And if Beverly can't play, there is no showcase. And if there is no Beverly opponent, there is no reason for the South Crenshaw Chargers to take the field either. Suddenly, an event that has been building throughout the season is in serious danger. And this creates one of the most interesting pieces of tension heading into episode 8. Because we already know the showcase happens. The premiere gave us that information. So the real question isn't necessarily whether the showcase will happen. It's how they are going to make it happen. Will Jordan find a way to overturn the suspension? Will Cassius have to make an uncomfortable decision? Could the suspension be temporary? Or is there another loophole that allows the game to happen without putting the players at risk? And there's something even more important here. The showcase isn't just about football anymore. For these players, it represents opportunities. College attention. Scholarships. A chance to prove themselves. So if the showcase disappears, the consequences could extend far beyond one cancelled game. Amina's college future is already under pressure. Now the football players could have their own futures disrupted because of a protest that came from a crisis affecting their community. That is what makes the ending so effective. Every storyline is suddenly connected. Amina's detention. Preach's arrest. Coop's guilt. KJ's protest. Beverly's suspension. The Chargers showcase. And the college futures of the young people caught in the middle. One decision has created a chain reaction that nobody seems capable of stopping. And with only one day remaining before the showcase, Jordan and Cassius now have almost no time to fix it. Meanwhile, Amina is home, but emotionally she's nowhere near okay. That may actually be the most important takeaway from episode 7. The fight isn't over simply because Amina walked through the front door. In fact, her return home may be the beginning of a much deeper emotional storyline. She has to process what happened to her. She has to worry about Preach. And she has to figure out how to move forward when the people she loves are still dealing with the consequences. At the same time, Coop has proven that she will do almost anything to protect the people she cares about. But there is a cost to constantly carrying everyone else's problems. Her guilt has already created friction with Breonna. And if Coop keeps pushing herself without dealing with what she's feeling, that relationship could become another casualty of the crisis. So here's the big question I want to hear from you. Do you think Jordan and Cassius will actually find a way to save the football showcase, or will the suspension force them into a completely different plan? Because whatever happens next, the showcase is clearly more than just a football game. It's a deadline. It's an opportunity. And now, it's a symbol of whether these characters can overcome everything that has been thrown at them. All-American Season 8 Episode 7 ends with Amina back home, but nobody gets a true victory. Preach is still detained. Coop is still carrying guilt. Relationships are beginning to crack. Beverly's football team is suspended. And the showcase is suddenly in serious danger. Yet the most hopeful image is also the simplest one: Amina isn't alone. When she finally breaks down, KJ is there. And that's exactly the kind of moment that reminds us why this story still works after 8 seasons. These characters keep getting knocked down, but they keep finding reasons to stand back up. Now they have one day. One day to save the showcase. One day to figure out what happens to Preach. And one day for everyone to decide just how much they're willing to sacrifice for the people they love. Because if the showcase really does happen, the story behind how they get there could be just as important as the game itself. And after everything that happened in episode 7, something tells me the biggest surprise is still waiting. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, stick around for more All-American Season 8 theories, endings, and episode breakdowns.